Perfect. Thanks, Jenna. Okay, so welcome everyone. This is officially our first Canadian webinar, and it's done by Canadians and one close to the border. So we'll say she's partially Canadian. We're going to be discussing PebbleGo Next, basically Capstone's digital products. To start, my name is Brandon Wright. I've been the exclusive rep for providing Capstone digital products for about 15 years now. I always remember that because my daughter was born the year it launched, so it's an easy thing for me to remember. I'm not sure if our first ever customer, Nadia, is on board, but she was the very first private school to sign on. And then shortly after, we had the Peel board sign on. So welcome everyone from coast to coast. And again, thank you for joining. Next slide. I'm going to pass it over to Mel, who's going to do our land acknowledgement.
We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are gathered on land that we now know as Canada, land that's been inhabited by various Indigenous peoples for thousands of years. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection and stewardship on this land on which we live, work, and play. Michelle and I would also like to take a moment to recognize that we work and reside on the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, covered by treaties 13A, 14, and 19. If you choose, please enter in the chat box the ceded or unceded territories upon which you live, work, and play.
Thank you very much, Mel. Great. For everyone listening in, this is our bit.ly. You can take a snapshot of this right now on your phone. This will basically download the presentation. And then, of course, this is being recorded. So everyone is going to, if you've signed up or attending, you're going to receive a copy of the recording today. So I'm going to pass it on to our first presenter, Shannon, to introduce herself. Oh, and that's me. I'll go ahead. There we go, Shannon.
Yep, there's Brandon, all his info that he shared. Thank you so much. My name is Shannon McClintock Miller. I am a teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School in Van Meter, Iowa. I also work with Capstone as a community leader and an author, and I work with Future Ready Librarians as the leader, and just all kinds of things that I do within my school and around the country and around the world. So I'm really happy to be here. And you can find me on X, still feels really weird to say that, and Instagram at Shannon M. Miller. I put my email in there because if you have any questions, I'm always happy to help. Or if you have a link or something that you need from today's presentation, please feel free to reach out. And I am happy to help you in any way that I can. So now we're going to turn it over to Michelle.
Hi, my name is Michelle Pitter-Adlam. I'm a teacher librarian in Peel District School Board. I've also written curriculum for EdFo. I'm a TVO equity curriculum reviewer, Forest of Reading, which is something that we do here in Ontario, selection committee member, also a mother, and I love being a teacher librarian. It's my sweet spot. And you'll probably see that as we continue with this presentation. You can contact me on X. As Shannon said, it's bizarre to say that. I still want to say Twitter. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melanie Mulcaster, but I go by Mel. I am also a Peel teacher librarian in the Peel District School Board. I have worked previously at TVO, so Michelle and I are Ontario based. So TVO stands for TV Ontario, which is a media corporation partially funded by the ministry or the provincial government is what I'm trying to say. I'm very fortunate to hold a variety of different roles across Ontario. And I can be contacted at _Mulk on the X. And I'm so pleased to be joining and learning with you today. So okay. I know Michelle. Oh, was this me, Michelle?
I think so.
Okay, good. Michelle and I sometimes steal each other's slides. So yes. I'm very famous for that. No, this was you, Michelle. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'll do it. I'm sorry. Okay, I just remember thinking you do the beginning part and I do the end. So many school communities and families have access to PebbleGo resources. here in Ontario and across the country, check your local school board for details. And hopefully after you've, participated and listened to all of the excellent features of PebbleGo, you will be an advocate for your school board or even your public library gaining access to this great tool.
And Brandon, you could probably add as what many public libraries have access to PebbleGo as well.
Yeah. So as stated, we've been providing PebbleGo for about 15 years now. We've actually got about 42% of Ontario schools using PebbleGo. So it's been extremely popular. We're hoping to obviously make those that are not accessing PebbleGo currently aware of the product. But this is also great for subscribers. So, next.
So
I
today,
like the live phone call. Sorry.
So today in the webinar, the big things that we're going to cover is we're just going to start with what is PebbleGo and PebbleGo Next, especially if it's new to you. And then we're going to go on kind of a little tour of PebbleGo and PebbleGo Next and show you a little bit of Capstone Interactive. Then PebbleGo in Canadian practice, and we're going to leave some time for some Q&A. So I'm just going to hop into what is PebbleGo and PebbleGo Next. And at our school, I work with all of the kids from preschool to 12th grade. And so from preschool until the time our kids are in second, even third grade, they're using PebbleGo for all of our research needs. It's great because it not only contains amazing articles that are just aligned to so many things that we are teaching in the classroom and even spilling into what we do in the library, but they also provide a lot of supports that make it, that learning hub that we go to for our curriculum and learning needs, and also just that reading that the kids love to do too. These are the ones when I asked Brandon what was used in Canada mostly. These are the different databases that are in PebbleGo and PebbleGo Next that you'll see mostly. But in PebbleGo and PebbleGo Next, everything that you see, it supports these things. If it is, teaching them concepts of research, or if it's having them, increase their understanding of something, even listening to like that authentic read aloud voice helps them as they learn to read, and even following along if they're using PebbleGo or even PebbleGo Next. And so we see from all of these things that it does really help with just getting them excited, that inquiry, that creativity that we love to see in our kids, and even that collaboration too. When we take a little peek though into PebbleGo, some of the things I think that really stand out, especially for me as I use it as a librarian, but also as I teach my teachers how to use it with our kids, again, is that engaging read aloud audio, how the text is appropriate. It's so simple and great for them as they navigate. And it has a lot of different extended learning too. The same with PebbleGo Next. This is the database that is for third grade to fifth grade, but even sixth grade too. And we use this with our kids, and they get so excited with both of these because not only do they love to find things that they love to research, and that if they're doing it in their classroom or the library, but it really does like get them that curiosity going and that inquiry that we love to see in our kids, and fosters that independence too when it comes to research. And so, like I said, these are the ones that you will see that are mostly used in animals, science. There's so many great topics in social studies, and I love that there's even a section on all of the provinces and territories in Canada. I think this is so amazing, and I did actually spend a little time myself in there this week, and so it's really neat to see. And health is another great one, and this one is one too that has really grown, especially in the last year. And then in PebbleGo Next, the science, all of the science topics that we cover, and I love that they even have like computer science in there, and then again, health. And so when we take a look, what I did is I just went into animals, probably the most popular one at our school. And I'm sure that if you use PebbleGo, that this is a very popular one too for your kids. And so I just took animals and I took an eagle, and I just said that I wanted to learn about birds. We're doing birds in our kindergarten and first grade right now, and preschool actually. So we've been doing a lot of bird work at Van Meter. And you can see from the different tabs that, as they said, it's so easy for them to navigate because they can click on these tabs and get to all of the different topics. They can listen to it just by clicking that, and it also will highlight those words that are even vocabulary that they can look at a little more specifically. At the bottom is where they can find a lot of things, like they can cite it, they can even print, like if you as a teacher, maybe you want to print it out for a student, maybe they are going to highlight an article, or they're going to be gone, or they need a few special supports, you can print that whole page or even just that article. And then one of the things I really love are the activities that they have. And these little share are so great. And what I've done is we even take these and we put them like in our Seesaw, our Google Classroom. And so you don't have to always print them off. They could also just write and draw over these as well. But the kids love these too. And it's a great kind of beginning resource idea. There's also little videos, and then there's always kind of that read more that ties then into more articles. Another thing that our kids love is at the bottom, you'll see games and questions of the day. And the kids, they do know this is here. And I love it though, because it ties in again to whatever content that they might be in. And so since I was in animals, these games then are specifically around that database of animals. And the question of the day is so fun because once they answer that, then they get to vote on, like for this example, for this one, which animal makes the best pet. And then they can even see the percentage of people that are voting for that too. So that is a really cool thing. Now at the bottom of PebbleGo, you'll also see educator resources. And this takes you in to so many amazing resources. If it's lesson plans, activities, if it is things that maybe like how to get it into, if you're looking at how to like share it with your kids, if you want a video tutorial, great to share even like with your teachers as you're using it and introducing it. And then again, just those classroom and even things that you can, like summer reading is coming up and learning, print off and even send at home. Also, make sure you sign up for the PebbleGo Pulse. This is a great little newsletter too. But one of my favorite things is the copy link feature. And this is in each article. You will find a little link that you can copy. And this is what I share in Seesaw, Google Classroom. I love making choice boards. And so when you see a choice board that maybe has PebbleGo or some books in it, it's so great because you can grab that link and then you can hyperlink it to anything or share it wherever you need to, even if it's like creating a QR code, maybe for your youngest learners, maybe they use like iPads and they need to go to that article. It's really easy to share that. Now in this choice board, you're also going to see some ebooks, and these are our capstone interactive ebooks. And again, so great because they provide so many things for our kids, all readers, from our littles all the way up to our older kids. They also have that read aloud audio for every book. And so that real life, it's great because all of our kids can use them at one time. And so we have that simultaneous access. And it's so nice because we can click on those and get to them so easily. And they all look the same because they're in that Capstone Interactive platform. And so, for example, if I was going to search for spring and find that book, I can again find the link that I need. And just like I did with PebbleGo, I can link it so easily or even share that. And so each month, like when I think about sharing, like especially ebooks and things with my kids, I do things like share our virtual virtual book hub where I'm sharing books, or even like top books that are being read across the country or even in our school. It's great to share those too. And so it makes it so easy to share those. I wanted to include, before I give it over to the girls, I wanted to just include a link to my newsletter, because all these things and more, I talk about PebbleGo and Capstone Interactive a lot, and even the projects that we're doing at my school. So at this link, you can sign up for my newsletter or even scan that QR code, and then you can get all of those resources and even use them in your school too.
Okay, nice job, Shannon. So I think we're now passing it on to Mel, I believe.
Yes, we are. So Michelle, what Michelle and I wanted to take a moment is to highlight, we are very fortunate in the Peel District School Board that we have access to a variety of different PebbleGo resources. And we wanted to highlight how we might utilize, or we are utilizing, these resources in the current communities that we serve. So texts matter, and that we know that texts that center the lived identities, the lived experiences and identities of the learners we serve matter. So something that I often refer to is Zaretta Hammond's, who is the author of Culturally Responsive Teaching in Her Brain, and she speaks to distinctions of equity when using text. So that's something always in my mind when I'm determining texts that serve a different purpose for the learners that we serve. So some texts we may choose may, introduce diversity and multicultural education to learners. Some texts we use may serve the purpose of raising consciousness about inequity. Culturally responsive texts will help improve learning capacity of diverse and marginalized communities that we serve. And we use these texts specifically to help cultivate genius that already exists. Resources located in the PebbleGo, PebbleGo Next, and Capstone Interactive libraries are a good place to begin when considering texts to choose to complement learning that's already happening in classroom environments.
Do you want to give a next, Mel?
Oh, yes, I paused. So this is an example of a sample learning experience that I haven't actually implemented yet, but I'm going to very shortly. So we'll let you know how it actually rolls out. And I was thinking about how might I utilize some of the resources we have available to us. So the sample learning sequence focuses on expectations in math, specifically in geometry and coding, social studies, and language. And the mentor text that we begin to withdraw as I collaborated with the classroom educator. We looked at PebbleGo. There's a whole category on maps. PebbleGo Next had another article about reading maps, and Capstone Interactive had a couple of texts, one nonfiction looking at maps and another fiction text, which we will explore on the next slide to talk about how might we create maps for a certain character. So to support our learning goal, we are learning about how to read and create maps. Something that we also like to do in our school environment is provide guiding questions for educators and learners based on Dr. Gholdy Muhammad's 5 pursuits. So identity and joy. Where do you like to travel and or visit? What places bring you joy? Skills. So what do we need in order to read a map? What do we need to know in order to give directions? Intellect, why are different types of maps important? How do different types of maps add to our understanding of the world? And criticality, are there more maps of specific locations over others? And why is this? Can a lack of maps to a certain area be a barrier? So if we go to the next slide, this is an example of how the learning sequence might unfold. And by no means is this learning sequence finite, and we would be continually modifying and adapting it to meet the needs of the learners that we serve in our environments, based on their readiness, based on their skills, based on their interests. So we might begin with a RAND chart, and this is the image that you'll notice underneath the Minds On is from the nonfiction text. What do you notice about this image, and what do you wonder? How might we find out more information? Oh, we might go to PebbleGo. And how will we know what we've learned? Moving into the action sequence, we may pull some of those specific articles from PebbleGo. If we need to, we can also, as Shannon illustrated, we can also print them out. And one of the best features of text that I like in the printouts, there's a glossary at the end. So we could have students jigsaw and read some of those articles, come back together, share, and use the glossary. I think is an amazing resource to create sort of like a personal dictionary or a word wall to highlight 10 of the most important words that we need to know about mapping. And then we would continue as a class to add to that RAND chart. As part of the consolidation, this is where we might head to the Capstone Interactive text and read Jalen's Big City Life. And this is actually a great text because he talks about he needs to be two places at the same time, but we can't get two places at the same time. And what might be, how might we create a map that gets him from one location to the other? And what's the most efficient route to take? We could also extend that into measurement and say, how might we measure the distance? Is one, and bring that into current relevant everyday use. When we go, I know I'm a big Waze user or Google Maps, when it talks about different routes and different ways to get there, and different routes have different time sets and it may be longer or shorter. So we could bring that real life relevance in there as well. And finally, the technology extension. I've hyperlinked, if you get this slide deck, to an application called Weebly, and this is a free resource. And it's a coding application where you could actually have students create an algorithm, recreate the map, create an algorithm to get them to one place or the other, and maybe talk about the most efficient way to get to that location. So like I said, we've just begun this process. It hasn't fully unloaded. So if you're interested, we can update you, and I'll probably be sharing on X how it's gone through.
Okay, so I'm up, and here's some ways that you can use the Capstone resources. I know that most of us educators, we had to pivot when COVID happened, and a lot of our learning had to be online, and we had to find out or figure out ways to make it look visually pleasing, interactive, and so forth for our students. So next slide. So a lot of us created virtual libraries. And so this is a virtual library that I'm currently using with a split grade 2-3 class in the library where I am collaborating with the classroom teacher. And so as you can see here, this is a grade 3 living and working in Ontario. And so just to build independence in the learners and so forth, I just took all of the different terms that they would need to understand and scaffold and put the actual PebbleGo links to it. And what I love about PebbleGo, Shannon did mention this before, is the links for every one of these, like what is a landform there, when you go to that section, that page in the database, there's a link. And so it was so seamless to click on the link and then create this choice board for the different areas of study for the students. And also what I love about this is voice and choice. If we are inquiring about living and working in Ontario, they need to know landforms, but do they need to know that right at the beginning? Maybe not. Maybe they want to read the Capstone Interactive about Canada. Maybe they want to look at PebbleGo next and look at the Great Lakes. But this is a reliable, age-appropriate resource that I don't have to worry about them searching through Google online and finding things that perhaps could be inappropriate or just at a reading level that is beyond them or they are not going to understand. The other thing I love about PebbleGo and just Capstone overall is that it is visually pleasing to the eye, and we live in a very visual society now. And so our learners, especially as I said, mentioned before, over COVID, they really, they're on social media. They're on different social media platforms. And so this is one way that is interactive and visually pleasing for them to also build autonomy, a greater autonomy for their learning. So this is just a sample of the grade 3 living and working in Ontario. I have this connected in our D2L learning classroom, and the grade 3s would go here, and there would be various activities that they would do with it. If we could go to the next slide. And so the next slide here is the one for global communities. And you can see it's a little different. Some of them are the same. I saw that with Mel, she had maps. We have maps on there too, because global communities, you need to know, you know, north, south, east, west. You also need to know about communities. And so examining world cultures under PebbleGo Next was fabulous, because it gives the students an opportunity to come outside of their own experience and look at the experience of other cultures and other people. And just fabulous. People in the environment help the students understand that we all are stewards of this world and the environment, and what we can do to preserve what we have here. And then the books, Governments Around the World. When we're talking about global communities, we're also talking about things that we may take for granted here, that's just the way it is. That may not be the same somewhere else. And I just wanted to double back on the map one. The map, what I love about PebbleGo is the map option there, or even the compass one. It gives the framework. Perhaps it's an American visual, but because our students, or my learners at least, we all looked at the map of Canada beforehand, it was a great opportunity for them to compare and contrast. Oh, we have provinces and territories here in Canada. In the United States, they have different states. Like it really opened their eyes, and it really lent itself to talking about different communities and just how communities are made up. We can go to the next slide. So this is just some snapshots that I took. There you can see there of one of the students who's actually on D2L and accessing the PebbleGo virtual library. It also was an awesome opportunity for them to build their vocabulary. As Melanie mentioned before, there's the glossary. Well, we also had, for both the grade 2s and the grade 3s, we started off by building our own community and understanding, you know, the 3 basic types of community, which are rural, urban, and suburban. And so they had to do a Freire model. Well, they went and they could choose which one they wanted to do first. And then from there, the grade 2s had to look at global communities, have a better understanding of that, opposed to the grade 3s, who then looked at landforms. And because PebbleGo had as I said, the framework and the proper terminology for those concepts, it was easier for the students to do a Freire model, and also for them to capture their learning. They did sketch journals. So as they were listening or even reading the text, they could draw, or they could write words or whatever that they could go back to. The next one. So this one here is a real life experience. If for any teacher librarian that's online with us here, you will be nodding your head right now. I arrive at school in the morning and I'm told that, hi, hey, Michelle, can you cover a grade 2 class today? Because we didn't get a supply teacher and we don't have anybody in. Okay, so you go down there and what's left is not working. So at lunch, what did I do? I went to PebbleGo and I created a choice board, and building a capacity again. Here, what is same and what is different. So they used a Venn diagram. The Venn diagrams, beautiful to know that you will receive a link in the slideshow where PebbleGo has made all of the, you know, the traditional Venn diagrams are there for you to access. I created my own just because I just worked out that way. But here again, the focus was Easter, and you can see this here. Click on the Easter image and explore each tab. So now they have their framework. And then choice and voice, which is something culturally responsive pedagogy. You're always trying to leverage the interest of the students, of your learners. They could pick another holiday and create a Venn diagram, and then do elbow buddy conversation about the differences and the similarities of those 2 holidays. the class that I went into, they didn't have a VLE. So what did I do? I created a QR code, and they used the QR code to access this choice board that was on a Google Doc that I had created. But with a QR code, you know, it's one of my loves, because it makes it so much easier for students to access whatever it is that you are trying to share with them. Next one. So as I said before, in this presentation, you will see that there is a link here that will bring you to all of these different excellent downloadable graphic organizers that can be used not only to capture students' learning, but it can be used as a diagnostic. It can be used as a summative. It can be used as a, I can't remember, Mel, help me out. Diagnostic,
friend.
summative,
Formative
and
as
assessment.
a check-in of
Yes,
diagnostic,
formative,
formative.
formative. Thank you. You can use it as a formative because there's such a plethora of them there. And depending on how the student is learning, this is a great tool, and it's easy. You don't have to go searching through Pinterest or Teacher Pay Teacher or whatever. Next slide. And so here, once again, this is Shannon's actually created this slide, but it just shows you how easy it is to publish this, share this information, a PebbleGo page website with your learners. All right, so once again, once you've created whatever it is that if it is that you've just gone to PebbleGo and you want your learners to access one site or one place, you can publish that not only to Google Classroom, you can do it to, we call it Brightspace D2L, or you can create a choice board, which you can see on the screen there, for them to go and access the information. And if you have younger ones, usually that's a really easy way. Now, I know some of you, at least I'm probably thinking here in Ontario, you're thinking, well, the kids have Chromebooks. How do you do that? Here we go. I believe the next slide is going to be talking about that. All right, so how do you use the camera app in Chromebook? So when you are at the home screen of the Chromebook, at the lower left-hand corner, there is an app launch circle, and you can see that I've circled it there in the red, in red. So you click on there. Once you click on there, you will look, next slide, Shannon, you will look for the camera app, because all of these apps will appear. You're looking for the one that has the camera. You click on that camera one, and you will immediately see that there's a light at the top of your screen that turns on. And then you have the option document, you have video, photo, or scan. You are going to click on the scan, which is the one that I have circled here. When you click on scan, now you have two options, a document or a QR code. That is where you click on QR code and you center the QR code, as you can see I did here. You center it in the viewfinder. Once you center the QR code, or your student learner centers it in the viewfinder, the actual URL is going to come up above, and all the student has to do is click on there, and it immediately brings them to whatever PebbleGo resource tool, whether it's actually a page from the database or your virtual library or choice board. Okay.
Well, that was awesome. We learned so many things, and I think the tips to share, do you want me to share this quick, Michelle, or did you want to share?
Well, I think that one is a repeat, right? This one here. So, okay, so there's many different, I'll share this, Shannon. There are many different QR code generators. That's what they're called. QR code generators out there. You can simply just do a Google search of QR code generators free, because that's what I do. This is one, which is QR Code Monkey. And what happens is you literally just cut and paste or copy and paste the QR code or the URL, the address for wherever the document is, the link that you have, into the URL that's on the screen there, and you press, create a code, and all of a sudden you will get the QR code that's at the right-hand side here. And then you have the option of downloading it to your computer. At that point, once I download it, I always name it. So if it was the QR code for that Easter choice board, I renamed it Easter choice board, so I remember for next time. And then you can copy and paste that to whatever document you want, or just print them out, which is what I did for the Easter choice board. And you can do multiples of them. So you're just cutting them out after you have printed them, so that students can have their own, or they can share, 2 or 3 can share at a time. And this is just a sample. Once again, this is Shannon showing how the QR code will send when the student goes to it. It will, in the viewfinder, it will go to whichever one of those sites. And Shannon actually has put a print screen, I guess. She print screen and pasted it there, which is a good idea, because then you don't have to name it. You just know where it's going to go afterwards, which is a great tip.
Yeah, a little tip. Well, we also wanted to share so many ideas, but just really quick, remember when you're looking for resources, or if you have questions, and you'll be able to click on any of these slides and get to the information too. But the best place to go when you're looking for resources is PebbleGo under resources, and you'll be able to find so many ideas and great things to use too in collaboration as librarians and teachers as well. So wanted to just remind you of that too.
Perfect. Okay, so wow, that was a lot of great information. I think that we can see that it's really, this presentation was meant for, if you're a current subscriber and you're loving Capstone Digital Resources, Mel and Michelle gave you a ton of practical ideas on ways to use the product and how to really extend your usage of the product. Great job there. And Shannon really provides you with a great overall overview of the product. Just a couple of things I want to clarify. So in Canada, we sell PebbleGo by the module, and it's also fully customizable. So for example, the Peel board pretty much has everything Capstone sells, all the modules for PebbleGo, PebbleGo Next, the ebooks, and the Engage ebooks. And they're a very mature customer. They've been using it for 15 years now and very comfortable and continuing to grow. If this is all new to you and you're a little overwhelmed with so much content and in-depth, that's where we can start with simply one module at PebbleGo just to get you started, to get your students exposed to it. And then I'm sure you'll find as you grow with the product, you can then extend and have additional modules added. So it's really hopefully fit for every budget, everywhere, right across the country. Next slide. We did have a couple of questions. So one from Barb was, can this be purchased as a license for a specific class or school? So PebbleGo, actually all Capstone digital products are sold at the school or the board level. It's not an individual classroom purchase. So that's a great thing. You're not buying multiple licenses. It's just simply one username, one password, and the entire school or board is provided with access. Another question from Sarah is, our CI ebooks, and that's our Capstone Interactive ebooks, are they an add-on purchase? So yes, they are. We do, I'd say in Canada, everything is a la carte. We typically start off with a trial. I suggest May is a great month. As Michelle was mentioning in her presentation, there's a lot of substitute teachers walking in and going, oh, now what? And so PebbleGo Next, Capstone ebooks, perfect spot to start because it's all content there. It's safe, reliable. We're all ready to go. So that was, Jenna, do we have any other questions?
Forgive me if you already answered this. We have a question from Pippa. Are these Capstone books sold also to Overdrive as well?
That's a bit of a grayish answer. Shannon, do you have an answer to that?
So you want to know if you can purchase them through Overdrive too, or put them in Overdrive?
I think she's wondering if they're or if they're sold through Overdrive. If Capstone ebooks are sold through Overdrive.
I don't know about Overdrive because I use Destiny. So I'm not quite sure about that, but I would assume that I don't know. Do you know? No.
Oh, we
You'll
need
back to her.
we need to call a friend.
Think you can, I don't know. I don't know enough about that. Like I know in Destiny, like even the books that we purchase through Capstone Interactive that we have our ebooks in they're searchable through our Destiny as well. And then it opens up into the great thing about Capstone is then they open up in the Capstone Interactive platform. And the reader is like the best. I love it. So that's how we do it at Van Meter.
Perfect. And Pippa, I saw that was a question from you, so I'll be in touch. Jenna, the next slide. So again, there's my contact information there. Really, it's whether it's a trial, a quote, questions, how you're loving PebbleGo. We always love to get great feedback when we're at various displays, conferences, etc. So my information's there. And yeah, I think we're coming to a close. This has been recorded. Anybody attending, or if you've not attended, you will receive a recorded copy. And we're officially finished our first Canadian webinar. So thank you very much for attending, and great job to our presenters.
Hey, Brandon, we actually have one last question. Are
Sure.
the pages translatable for our ELL students?
Yeah, that depends on the app you're using. So I'll say that everything is on Capstone's platform itself. That is not translatable. There is a Spanish option. And those that have asked about French, it's something that's always on the back of our minds, but it's not currently available. So at this stage, I'm going to say no, it's not translatable, except for the Spanish offering.
Hopefully on the radar, and that's amazing feedback. So
Yeah. Okay, so thanks so much, everyone, for attending, and have a great Tuesday night.
Thanks, everybody.